Hello and welcome to the 5 people that will end up watching this. My name is Mike Srant, and this is my football channel, and it's called Kevin, where I'm going to be showcasing to you all of my frankly ridiculous and always based opinions about football. So, today I'm going to be starting with what bugs me the most about football. And that's not just one thing, that's several things. So let me start with attacking football. It obviously has a place, and it is good, and when you need to be attacking, then you should be attacking. That is 100%, right? The issue that I have is with the fetishization of being attacking. You have to constantly be attacking. Being an attacking team is good. This idea that attacking football is inherently better than defensive football is patently ridiculous. People only really care about winning. The fans, the coaches, the players, the board, everyone only really cares whether or not you're winning. The common response to this is that, oh, well, it's better to win by being attacking than to win by being defensive. It's not. Of course it isn't. That's just not true. But the thing is, the most important thing is that you have won. Is that you are winning or that you are losing. This idea that, oh, well, attacking football is better than not attacking football is ridiculous and ludicrous. And the proof of this is that, generally speaking, defensive coaches who do get the sack only get the sack after they stop winning. Everyone is perfectly fine with defensive coaching when you are winning things. And when you're not winning things, then it's suddenly, it's suddenly a problem. Who knew? We need to play attacking football. That's part of this club's philosophy. That's how we've been brought up. This is the West Ham way, the Chelsea way, the Man United way. This is what we do. We attack. It's patently ridiculous. This idea that attacking confers some kind of tactical benefit is ludicrous. Lots of pundits talk about this. People who are paid to talk about football talk a lot about this. Like, oh, you're getting in the face, you're unsettling them. And teams that don't deal very well with being unsettled. And to a degree, that is true. If you get at a team, they won't always like it, and that may confer some sort of benefit. But what these people conveniently leave out with attacking football is that it very obviously leaves some tactical detriments to you as well. By and large, attacking football is going to leave you more open and more vulnerable to being attacked yourself, to losing points, losing goals, losing ground, losing territory. Being attacking is very obviously, very logically going to lead to more of that.
The next incredibly annoying thing I'd like to talk about is VAR. Video assistant refereeing in and of itself is not irritating, it's the discussion around it that is irritating. It is valid. I think that governing bodies, FIFA, the FA, UEFA, whatever have you, have a vested interest in trying to get as many correct decisions as possible. And to that end, I think that possibly it's a little bit overdue, the implementation of VAR. The implementation of this policy is not great. It alienates many fans and is particularly poor for match day going fans. There is obviously a communication disconnect. You are busy celebrating a goal or a decision has been given in your head, and then all of a sudden the play just sort of stops and you're not exactly certain now it's been happening enough, and we do have access to logic as human beings, and therefore you can determine that a VAR decision is happening right now. But that lack of communication, that disconnect, can end up alienating quite a lot of fans. For television watching or for remotely watching fans, the VAR decision can also be a little bit problematic because you're watching the game, you're thinking, okay, cool, this is being held, this is not being held, the goal has been scored, a goal has not been scored, whatever. A penalty has been given, a free kick has been given, whatever it is. Then all of a sudden everything just sort of stops, and because we have commentators and there is a greater level of communication, because of that, there is less of a point of alienation, and I've even heard it described as being quite exciting when a VAR decision is happening. We don't know what's going to happen. It's going to happen that the decision is being upheld, that the decision is being overturned. What is going to be happening? That isn't really true. The tribalism of football will take over. If the decision being upheld benefits your team, you will argue for the decision being upheld, and you will do so with blinders on. You will be thinking, well, if this decision is being overturned, then my team is going to be detrimented, so therefore the decision must be upheld. And then your brain is going to come up with ways in which the decision should be upheld regardless of an actual objective logic. The same process is going to happen if the decision being overturned is going to benefit your team versus whether or not the decision being upheld is going to benefit your team. The tribalism of football is going to take over. I really don't think that there's any sort of benefits to it from a spectating point of view. It just isn't quite as bad for those who are watching on television versus those who are watching in the stadium. My issue with it is not in terms of its implementation, however. Even though it is poor, there's going to be teething problems. That is just going to happen. My issue with it is the discussion around it. First of all, VAR decisions can overshadow the actual football. I take you back to last season's Manchester City versus Tottenham game in the Champions League. I think it was the quarter-final. At the end of the second leg, all that anybody could talk about was not Tottenham's progression. There was obviously an acknowledgement that Tottenham had progressed and Tottenham had played well. But people were talking about the end of the game where Manchester City had a game-changing goal disallowed. The fineness of the margins was brought up. The fact that a goal was or was not scored was the point of discussion, not the fact that a team had gone through, not the greater tactical trends that may or may not have led up to Tottenham going through and Manchester City going out. Just the VAR decision. And that is one aspect of it, the fact that VAR is the story in many cases. Not in all cases, but in many cases. But another issue around it would be the closeness of the calls, especially in the beginning of the season. The closeness of the calls was seen to be the problem. If your arm is offside or you're offside, then you'll be called offside because of VAR. That was the common joke, but obviously that is not true. As the law is written, if any part of your body that can play the ball is behind the last defender and you interfere with play after the ball is played, then you are offside. That's the rule. So if it was your pinky that was offside, then you're not offside. But if it was your pinky toe that was offside, then you are offside. That is how the rule works. On the one hand, you could be thinking, oh, they're just making a joke, you shouldn't take it so seriously. But on the other hand, there is a clear lack of knowledge as to what the law written down actually means. Another thing that was mentioned about that, especially with offside calls, was, I'm not going to name and shame here, but I heard it on a podcast, that the offside law was never intended to work this way. That the VAR is being too strong, and this is not how it's intended that the offside law is to be enforced. That's irrelevant. It is completely irrelevant to what the intention of the lawmakers was, to the video assistant referees, to the governing bodies even. The only governing body to which any sort of intention actually makes any sort of difference to how the law is going to be written is FIFA, because they may or may not make changes or modifications to the laws of the game. Referees and the governing bodies have to enforce the law as it is written. And as the law is written, if any part of your body is offside, then you are offside. If you are an inch offside, you're offside. If you are 487 miles offside, you are offside. That is the rule. One of the common refrains about the problems with refereeing is that there is a level of inconsistency. And that would be amplified, multiplied several times if the referees were all having their own interpretations of laws. I don't think that's feasible. In terms of whether or not the governing body says that the law should be or should not be interpreted in one way or another is also a problem. That then empowers the refereeing body and the referee decision makers to then interpret the laws in their own particular ways, and that is going to cause even more inconsistency. This also risks exposing, and it does expose quite a lot, the lack of literacy and knowledge about the laws of the game. A very good example of this, and thankfully it's gone down a little bit in terms of punishment recently, but The Last Man, a red card would only be given, according to many pundits, if you committed a foul on the last man, right? But that's not actually true. As the law as it is written, if you're going to commit a foul and that foul prevents a direct goal scoring opportunity, then you should be given a red card. That is the law. It doesn't matter if there are 400 people in between you and the goal. That wouldn't really matter. If it was a direct goal scoring opportunity, then you should be given a red card. And the fact that people don't understand this also links to the fact that people don't really understand how the offside law works. And that is not because the offside law is written in a completely complicated way that nobody can understand. If when the ball was played and you are interfering with play and a piece of your body that could play the ball was offside when the ball was played, then you're offside. How difficult is that to understand?